CNN writes about Republican Elise Stefanik, a President-elect Donald Trump's pick for U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, who is now refusing to stand by her previous push for Ukraine's NATO membership, a stance she once framed as critical to regional stability. Her office also declined to say whether she still believes Russia committed genocide in Ukraine, as she said it in 2022. And in 2022, Stefanik urged NATO to admit the nation, especially as Russia's invasion escalated. At that time, she argued for extensive military aid support, highlighting the Trump administration's previous providing of Javelin missiles.
I've seen how important Ukraine is for the region. They need to be admitted into NATO, and we need to do everything we can by providing them munition and javelins. And remember, the javelins were supplied under the Trump's administration. Elise Stefanik, American Congresswoman, from a 2022 statement.
Her comments at the time reflected the strong pro-Ukrainian stance that aligned with broad bipartisan support for Kiev in the early days of the conflict. Now, however, when asked if she still supports NATO membership for Ukraine, Stefanik's spokesperson declined to specifically address her current position. Instead, her office signaled that she is aligning with Trump's approach.
Chairwoman Stefanik fully supports President Trump's peace through strength policy agenda and will follow his lead as Commander-in-Chief on best practices to end the war in Ukraine. Elise Stefanik's communications director in comments for CNN.
Stefanik's non-answer on Ukraine's possible NATO membership comes as a public opinion on providing aid has shifted away from the earlier support for Ukraine, with Trump and other Republicans voicing increasing skepticism about the role of American military and financial aid in the prolonged war for values these very Republicans preach aloud. Stefanik's actions in the House also shift the public opinion. She initially championed pro-Ukrainian legislation and supported numerous sanctions against Russia, along with multiple rounds of military aid for Ukraine. But in April, she votes against a $60 billion Ukraine aid package, citing concerns of the spending and saying it was better to prioritize the crisis at the southern American border. That stands a sharp contrast with comments she made in April 2022 when she voiced that she was amongst nearly 400 members of the U.S. House of Representatives sanctioned by Russia, calling it a badge of honor. She clearly described Russia's actions as genocide against the Ukrainian people and labeled Russian President Vladimir Putin as thug and war criminal. Her office declined to comment further when asked if she stood by her past comments that Russia was committing genocide in Ukraine. Well, I understand that. No, I really do. Stefanik is not alone in her shape-shifting. She is just an example. If Elise Stefanik or any other political shapeshifter would have been in Bucha, for example, and would see that enormous pit in the ground, a mass grave of Ukrainians with their hands tied behind their backs, slaughtered by Russians, even if amongst all these dead faces Elise Stefanik would somehow recognize a familiar face, God forbid, a relative, a friend, a family member, then she would anyway had to go for no-answer regime to align with standards sent from the presidential above, even if they are asked directly in their face if this is a genocide. Well, I understand. Politics is politics.